we were doing everything. I mean, we had directors and people under us, but we didn't have we didn't have a CEO, we didn't have a COO, we didn't have a CFO. Like we were just doing it all.
If you could go back and tell yourself, your younger self, something when you were starting it, knowing what you know now, what advice would you have for yourself?
I was always proving my worth. Even to myself and to everyone else. As a woman in business, trying to be, not trying, but a third partner. As a woman, especially also being a woman that, I had a baby the second year that we opened Equinox.
That's a lot of work.
And I also had a situation where, I'm not sure if my partners thought that was such a great thing. So it was like, I have to prove that I am worthy of being a third part. And the truth is, like, I just felt like I had to work harder to prove that I could be a good mom and I'm carrying my weight.
Kind of takes a lot of energy to do either one of those. So they felt like they were always overextended. They were always juggling, always giving up their own health and things like that.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can prioritize motherhood a little bit more in the current generation, because it's kind of a special time, and only women can do that, and to make space for that. And so we also can have a good career, and you can also have time for it. But it does require just recognizing the value of having kids as well as the value.
Well, it was also a time where it's like, no, women don't need to be an equal partner.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They could be a 10% partner and be happy with that.
Wow.
Like there's an energy that went on in those days. I mean, it's no different than what happens in Hollywood now. The leading man's making a certain amount, the woman's making less. Like it's still there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. But then nobody was talking about it.
Right.
So as women, we just had to hold that in. There was no container to let that fly, right? So you just had to hold it in, and you had to just keep proving. So
what would you have told yourself now that you know how things are?
I know. I would have told myself, girl, like, you're magic.
I am sensing more of a balance there.
Yeah.
And all new moms are struggling with this, going, I didn't realize it was going to be energetically this much work. I'm like, how do I balance my company? How do I balance my job? But it feels like there's more balance today, and maybe things are getting better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's happening as well? Do you see that?
I do. Okay. I definitely, first of all, people talk about work-life balance. And there's a part of me that, like, as a founder, if you're a founder,
it's unbalanced to be a founder.
Like, I like, that's how I feel, David. Honestly,
you have to be unbalanced.
When people say to me work-life balance, I'm thinking,
oh, this is my life. It's
I'm
balanced.
not so sure that being an entrepreneur is for you, because being an entrepreneur is so hard. Like, I know somehow it's been like, it's become glamorous and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and a founder. But like, I'm just thinking to myself, it is the hardest. You work 24/7. I mean, I remember sleeping with a little tape recorder. So when I wake up with an idea, I didn't want to lose it. And I'd be like, oh, to tape recording it. I mean, you never stopped.
It's frenetic when you're starting. One of the more powerful interviews I've seen was with the founder of NVIDIA, the chip making company.
Oh, yeah.
They're, one of the most successful, most valued companies on the planet. And they asked him the same question. Well, if you go back and tell yourself when you were 19 about what to do, he would say, my advice would be, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Like, the amount of suffering you will have to build a big company is unimaginable. And I think he's probably right. No one who hasn't built something big understands just the amount of struggle and suffering and worry and just all the bad stuff that comes your way because you're succeeding. And I think women get it more. I mean, it's been said before that, the glass ceiling is probably constructed as much by women as it is by men, right? Mm-hmm. And so it may be even harder for women entrepreneurs. I don't know, I'm not one. But whatever it is like all in energy. And I started Bulletproof when I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, right? And to make sure that the ends meet for the family and to start a company, it's it's scary. It's
Yeah.
honest, even though you have, community and a mission.
No, I
And so,
remember
you did it too.
there were months where we weren't taking paychecks. And I remember being like, going to the controller and like, I can't barter my rent because we were bartering everything, right? Like, I'm like, I can't barter my rent. Like, we have to pay, like, so yeah, it's definitely a sacrifice. And I will say this, I invest now in different, entrepreneurs and different products. I very rarely will ever invest when there's one founder. Very rarely. 2 minimum, 3 or in my zone, because I know what it takes. Like and I know there are certain things you can't buy. You have to be in it. Yeah. Like, and it isn't for everyone. And I've mentored women for a while. And there was one woman in particular, super smart. She had her master's, and she had children. And it was really like, I'd listen to her and she's like, oh yeah, I want to go to the school and read at the school. And I want to be able to go and do the party. And I would just kind of listen to the theme of what she was talking about. And then her job. And then she got promoted. And I said to her at one point, like, okay, what's the 3-year? What's the 5-year? And she's like, CEO. And I was not expecting that. And I must have had this horrified look on my face, like, you're really CEO? And she was like, yeah, I want to be CEO. And I was just like, can we talk a little bit about what it takes to be a CEO? Like a real CEO? And I said, you have the brains, no doubt. I said, but I listen to you on all you want to do with your kids. I said, first of all, to get there, these CEOs, they're starting their day, getting up 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4:30, getting their workout in, getting their reading to see what's going on in the world, emails, depending on what's going on. They're at their first breakfast meeting at 6:45, and then they're at a breakfast, and they're at a dinner, and then they're flying somewhere to give a talk. And then they're, I'm like, I don't see that for you. And she's like, but that's not me. And I said, dear, but that's what's going to take to be CEO.
You're listening to The Human Upgrade with Dave Asprey.